Greek Vibes, where we have honest conversations about Black Greek life, brought to you by A&W Greek Shop. Whether you're representing your letters every day or just thinking about going Greek, this episode is for you. So today's topic is, why did you join? What made you step into a lifelong bond of sisterhood and brotherhood? We're diving into the personal reasons, the history, and the impact of joining the Divine Nine organizations. So let's get into it. Joining a D9 organization isn't about colors, calls, strolling, homecoming. It's about purpose when it all boils down. So for many of us, the journey starts with legacy, mentorship, and deep connections to our communities. So what we know is that 70% of D9 members join because of their desire to serve their communities and create generational impact. And also a survey shows that students affiliated with the Greek letter organization are more likely to graduate from college within 4 years. So, stories from the yard. Let's talk about real stories and why some of us joined. So ladies, who wants to tell their story about why they joined, when you first were inspired to join your organization, when it was put on your heart. So who wants to go first?
I didn't even know about those studies. So that was news to me. Yeah. So that's actually good to hear. I hope that's still true today.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to start?
Absolutely. I think my story is just as shallow as they come.
You like the color.
Listen, but Sigma Gamma Rho's were it on the campus of
So
SIU
there were
Carbondale.
no deltas on the yard. Right, okay.
Oh, no, she did.
Let's see how to think about it.
Anne was shaking her head like, no, she said, wait. I'm gonna give her that one.
Exactly.
But Sigma Gamma Rho's we were the thing. They were the thing. So they were the girls that were doing everything, and they had a bigger presence. They truly did on campus, and so I knew. And then I was also friends with a bunch of alphas, and I'll never forget, one of them was like, that's what you should join. And then come to find out my cousin was one. Okay. So, just after a conversation and all of that, and then I've got some more cousins that are Sigma Gamma Rho. So I think I was destined to be a Sigma Gamma Rho, but yes, my story is just as shallow as they come. Yeah. Sigma Gamma Rho's were the bomb on my campus. So,
well, I've always said it's your campus. So for me, being from Chicago, blue and white is everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere. My teachers was Zeta, Sigmas. It is everywhere. So only other sorority I knew about was AK, and she was our cheerleading coach, and she was me.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, no, lady. So when I went to school.
Wherever you are.
So when I went to school, I literally, and that's a little shallow too, and then I was dating a Sigma. So I was kind of like, well, I don't want nobody else to be with you. So I was like, well, he said, why don't you join? And I was like, do you just walk up and join? I didn't know there's no one in my family that I knew of
at the time.
At the time. Until Christmas, and I go home and tell my mother I wanted to join, and my mother said, what is that? I'm not paying for that.
Right away.
And good luck to you.
Yeah.
My aunt was a Delta, and she was like, can I talk to you? And I was like, about too late. I'm going this way. And I did. But I didn't know. If she would have probably wore her shirt or said something earlier, I would have said something. She was married in. No shout out. Disrespect to you either.
You said married?
She's married. She's my uncle's
family.
wife.
Oh, married into your family.
She's married in. So, but she never said anything. So I didn't know.
No, ladies and gentlemen, there's no way to marry into Delta Sigma that I know about.
Did I say?
For me, I'm fortunate enough to be third generation college grad, and my family is full of D9 members. My grandmother and her sister, one of my favorite aunts, Dorothy, they both were Zetas. And growing up, I had to help out with a lot of things with Zeta. One of the things they do is the March of Dimes, Stork Nest, those sorts of things. So I was collecting the little dimes for them and putting them in those little pockets, you know. And that was like, this is a service. And then they explained to me where the money was going to help mothers and infants and that sort of thing with the Stork's Nest, in particular in the March of Dimes with all its research and the programs they do. And my mother, although her mom and her aunt were Zetas, she decided she wanted to pledge Delta. And growing up around my mother being active with Delta and being around the women that were Deltas in the Birmingham alumni chapter, shout out, they were just always larger than life. You know, they were just the movers and the shakers in the community. And then some of my SGRhos, you know, I learned through my mom were Deltas, Mary McLeod Bethune, Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, and the list goes on and on and on. And so I was like, you know, that's just what I want to do. But as you said, it was confirmed on campus. Because when I got to the Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana, the Deltas were the ones who were the movers, the shakers. They were president of the SGA. They were Miss Dillard. They were president of the senior class. They were, I mean, they ran the yard. And it just affirmed for me that kind of spirit of leadership, progression, movement that I witnessed as a kid. And so, you know, to see them walk the yard, I was like, oh, to be a Delta girl. The finest in the world.
That's cute.
Yes, I truly, it wasn't a question for me. Though I respect all of the other organizations. My favorite Aunt Jewel, is an AKA. You know,
Grandma.
Yeah, I said grandma and my Aunt Dorothy were Zetas. You know,
put that back out
okay,
there.
it's back out there. Yeah, it was just that the women I knew who were Deltas walked with a certain swag. They had a certain presence when they came in the room, and they knew how to get things done. And that's what I liked about it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, my story is a little similar to Tracy's. My favorite Aunt Helen is a Delta. She pledged at Tuskegee in the 70s. So I grew up with her, and it was all about Delta. Like, even if when we went shopping in the mall, if she needed to get my attention, she would do the call. I would turn around.
She trying to groom you.
She used the call to get the straight check.
So,
And that noise just scared you, right to AKA.
And also with Tracy's mom, I would go to the Ebony Fashion Show with them, and that's when I
forgot about that.
I was more so, and I think it was a fashion show. The AKA step, where were we? I don't know where we were,
I don't remember.
but I don't know if they did. We were somewhere, and I was like, wow, you know, when they got up there to step. So, you know, just being around and seeing both, I was like, okay, I know I want to be an AKA. You know, and I was like, oh, Auntie Helen is going to be upset, you know, but she was the one that actually helped pay for me to do it. I mean, she supported me no matter what. But shout out to the Deltas for the integrity. But yeah, I just knew in college, if I pledged Delta, I would be in the corner looking at the AKAs wanting to be over there with them. So I, you know, and that's why I did it. I knew I didn't even care what they were doing on campus. I knew that that's what I wanted to. If they were the lamest girls there, I would have still done it because that's what I wanted to do.
That's what you're
I was like, I'm just gonna have to make this chapter live.
Yeah, until I get out of here.
Yes. Well, let me clarify about your soror. She was not mean. She was stern. Okay, I just want to.
We're not editing that.
Yes, we are. She was
Just
stern.
don't say her name.
That's right.
At what school?
I need any of my alumni to be like, she wasn't me. And the AK is coming for me.
Right. Too late.
Yeah, you know.
She was stern.
And one of the things that really bothers me about why people join, some people join, is not for the right reason. Like, I don't mind if you join for the colors and then it's confirmed by them being who they are on the yard.
Right.
I guess what frustrates me is when you get people who join because it makes them who they are.
right.
No.
And it makes them have some sort of clout.
Yeah.
So for me, clout over legacy, clout over culture is a terrible thing.
I agree.
And, you know, it's frustrating because these folks tend to bring down what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Because it's not about the organization's mission.
No.
You know, it's not about being the movers and shakers on campus. It's not about doing the work and serving our purpose.
Right.
It's about making them somebody.
Right.
Exactly.
And, you know, if you don't know who you are by the time, now when you're 19, I get it. You don't know.
You're
trying to
impressionable.
figure
You're
it out.
impressionable.
Yeah, but you know, some of these grad initiates, I'm just like, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Where were you
Yeah.
before this? And then
Yeah.
what
Well, not
are
only
you
that-
bringing to the sorority to make it better?
Well, some do. Some, I mean, you know, a lot
Some
of
of
them
them are the
come.
best.
Yeah, some. I was
They are
gonna
the
say,
hardest workers,
Hardest
some of
workers.
them,
I
but-
get that, and some couldn't pledge undergrad because they didn't have the money,
Or the chapter.
or
Or
the
the chapter.
chapter,
Or the chapter.
right?
True.
So I don't. That's not a problem for me, but. It's the ones who get the letters, and that's what that
and then
makes
it
them
don't work.
important.
And it
Yeah.
don't work.
They don't
Yeah.
work, and that's what makes them walk around with their chest
Yeah.
sticking out because they have the
Yes.
letters on.
Yeah.
But they aren't doing anything to
Yeah.
move the purpose forward.
It's a
Yeah.
whole nother psychological type
Yeah.
of level.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see a 40-year-old man walking around with a Kappa cane on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
like
what are we doing?
they're stuck in that time
Yeah.
Yeah.
where they peaked, I guess, or they feel like they, you know, that was the most important. It made them who they are, and they just want to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
But-
sad.
Yeah.
I don't see that from any of us. Because I believe, you know, I had friends before.
Exactly.
AKA,
And they're still my
they're
friends.
still my friends.
And they're still
they
my
never
friends.
stop being my friends.
Absolutely.
I have my line sisters and my sorors too, but I also have my friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I, you know, my parents and my family, my village, instilled in me that I could do anything. I could be anything. That I was beautiful. That I was smart.
Yes.
You know, and so I didn't need Delta to do that for me.
That's right.
I didn't need those 3 letters to say you're smart, you're kind, you're important. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need that to
Right.
do that.
Yes.
Right.
And Delta didn't need me
Yes,
necessarily.
absolutely.
But it was a meeting of the minds, if you will, or meeting of the purpose. I believe in social action. I believe in getting out there and fighting for the justice of everyone. And so that lines up with my core principles of who I already am. I don't need Delta to make me Tracy.
Exactly.
You know, so and Delta doesn't need Tracy to make it Delta. So there's an alignment that has to be there. And when you have one side that's getting more out of it than the other, that's not
wholly
Yeah.
different.
that's a
yeah.
misalignment, and that's not what we need to be looking
Right.
for. That's not
agree.
what works for the longevity and legacy of these organizations.
I agree.
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So let's move on, ladies. So we can talk about the lifelong impact of D9. It doesn't just stop at crossing, it is for life.
Right.
We are different than the other organizations where they're done when they graduate from college.
Correct.
We're for life.
Financial commitment. Plus
So-
your time and energy.
And also just from networking to professional growth, you know, the D9 has an impact and the bonds open so many doors. So do you guys have any stories of, you know, networking or, you know, your organization or any I can say that just being an AKA and being able to sit in a room with the Kappa, that's the hiring manager, and bonding over that, you know, gave me a leg up, you know, and I'll end up getting the job, you know, because we talked about that the entire interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
But you
so-
connected.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it was a true
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Not someone asking you, how do you do a job? And getting the fake answer. And that's probably me. When I was interviewing, about to graduate, I had changed my major and everything. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? And it was a brother of Omega Psi Phi who was just like, he saw I was wandering, like, I don't know what I want to do at the career fair.
Yeah.
And I had my letter because I was still an undergrad, right? So I had my letters on, and he just had on his lapel, right? And so he saw me, and I felt like, man, me, you know. And he was like, "Can I talk to you, sister?" And I was like,
Yeah.
calling my daddy.
I don't know you.
Stranger
Especially if it was a Q.
Exactly. No offense. Your Delta sister said that, not me.
No. Delta has no brothers. Let us be clear. But I love a Q. I love Qs. Okay.
But with what you're saying, I mean, the fact that he knew within him, I'm going to grab her because I see.
Right.
And I will never forget that because he did not interview me for his company, but he pointed me in the company that I ended up
He knew that you were a Zeta?
Because I had my
had on
period.
her
I
period.
had
That's
my
right.
period.
That's-
So I was
you
just
said
walking
that. You said
around
that.
the periphery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't in a suit or anything. I was just looking as like, okay, who am I going to interview with?
Right.
And he
It matters.
tapped me and said, hey, talk to me. Like he said, give me your 5-minute elevator speech. I'll never forget. And I was like, what? You're not known from Chicago. I talk all day.
Right.
And he was like, 5-minute elevator speech. Tell me what's your major. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I need you to come in your suit tomorrow. And he was like, and I need you to talk to that company right over there. And he was like, follow up with me after.
Yeah.
And I got the job.
Wow.
So I don't know if he had a connected that comp. I don't know. But why me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think because of my letters and because of who I was and what my family instilled with me and my parents, right? But if I didn't have those letters on that day, would God have told him to tap me?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, let's be real. I think Greeks gravitate toward other Greeks,
Yeah.
right?
It's a level of
as
comfort.
simple as that. It is. It is.
Even if you don't share, even if you're not in the same sorority fraternity,
Yeah.
there's a common thread.
Absolutely.
Right? And so for me, I didn't necessarily get a job as a result of being Greek, but thanks to Cynthia Marie Antoinette Butler McIntyre, our 24th national president, I was appointed to serve on the national executive board for Delta.
Wow.
And having served in that capacity exposed me to so much, you know, so much that helped me to get jobs, internships at Ford Motor Company and at the world headquarters. And I sat at the feet of people like Dorothy Height and Marsha Fudge and, you know, Cicely Tyson would be there for a national convention and Ruby Dee and all of these people that, wow, I'm in the same room, you know, and just that proximity. I talk about proximity a lot. It made me know that I can, again, like my parents taught me, I can do anything.
right.
You know, these women were in the same room and took the time to talk to me. And that's because they were in my shoes one time. And so pulling people up, Alexis Herman, who was the Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton, sitting next to me at a meeting, you know, that was powerful to me, you know. And so it gave me a lot of lessons that I took with me along my professional path.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, do you guys have some real stories about when you were on campus and just a bond or a line sister or just another D9 member helping you out while you were there? I know that I was having a hard time once and I went to one of my pro fights. And just because she was a nursing student. Like I started that, like even now my friends, you know, whatever profession they're in, I go to them. And just like with her, you know, I went to her and asked her about, I was like, my left arm.
See the doctor.
I'm like, am I having a stroke? What, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, she actually sat down and talked to me about things and made me feel better and told me what I needed to go and do. You know, just a lot of stories like that. The AKs, we hung out with the Kappas and the Qs, and just real supportive. You know, if anybody needed help with their homework or you know studying things like that, we were always there to help each other, and it wasn't always about you know trying to hook up or anything like that. We were just genuine friends and liked being around each other.
You know, it's funny you say that about the homework because at Dillard, that was true. Like, you know, if you were, you know, a member of D9 Deltas, if you needed help with something or a class, I wasn't good with math, and I had a line sister who was a math major, and she would help me with my homework, like help walk me through it. But it's funny because when I left that setting and went into law school, where there was 600 law students and only 20 of us Black, and among the Black, I may have been one of 2 members of the D9. It felt like the floor fell from under me because I didn't have that same support. Some of that was being on an HBCU campus, but a lot of it I think had to do with me not being around members of our community to say, hey, let's go study together, or let's go do this together, you know, or you need me to go pick this up so you can get some rest, you know. So I think that speaks volumes, because law school is really hard, and you felt, because you were competing with people who were 3rd, 4th generation lawyer that didn't look like you. And of course, sometimes some were willing to help, most weren't. And so you had to look to each other. Well, if you have 60 Black law students and we're all 1st generation lawyers, we can't really help each other because we're all in the same boat, right? And so it was just one of those things where I felt it the most, like I felt the most isolated. Ever, really, because one, it was a cultural shift from being in a HBCU, before that being in a predominantly Black school, but just that part I could deal with. I could, you know, I can merge and talk to the best of them, but it was that feeling of, how do I make it through this? You know, without that person who had the same experience.
Oh God, yes.
You know?
Oh God, yes.
And it's just comforting, like, at the end of the day, you can just go to one of your line sisters or, you know, sorors apartments, and y'all can just hang out.
Listen to
just
music.
Decompress, watch play Taboo, you know, just anything like that. And you know, it transports you to a different space, and you're not, you know, so stressed out. You can release and just enjoy the love that's around you. That was very important to me on campus. So
you know, it's something that it just popped in my head. I remember undergrad, me and some of my ships, we went to visit another school, and college students, we didn't have a hotel to first
roll tripping.
Yes, we were there, and I'll never forget. It was some older sorors started talking to us. You know, they're asking us questions, and they found out we had no place to stay. And this is where I experienced, you know, that sisterhood on an entirely different level. And I'm like, no, we don't have no place to stay. You know, I remember them finding out that we didn't have any place to sleep, right? What were we thinking? College, they gave us one of their hotel rooms.
Oh, God, yes.
You know, and I'll never forget, even after that, you know, they would send us cards, like checking on us at school. And for me, then I didn't know that that's truly what, you know, sisterhood is truly about. So I just remember experiencing that and just thinking like, wow.
And on that same vein, you know, we joined the sisterhood. That's a reason we joined, right? Because of the sisterhood, the brotherhood. It extends even beyond you. Because I had a cousin to get a job at the Department of Defense in Washington. She didn't have a place to stay yet. She was scheduled to be at work, but she had not found an apartment. They were so expensive in DC. And I told another soror about it. She called up a soror she knew in Washington. That soror called me and said, hey, I have a basement apartment. She can stay as long as she needs to. You know, she didn't need to take her up on it, but it's just the idea. This soror didn't know me, much less did she know my little cousin. But because I was a soror, she was willing to open up the doors to her home for this girl to come and live until she got herself settled in a new place. And my little cousin's not a Delta. She's not anything, right?
No, it's
but it was just an extended family that we respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's some next level stuff.
It is. It is. So, Kawani, you said your ship. I want you to explain to the people what that is, because I didn't know what that was.
Especially the people below the base and Dixon line.
That's a Midwest. And so some call it line sisters, right? Sands, right? Ships are people that you pledge with, that you actually go through your process with. So we call each other ships. So,
do you know where that comes from? Or is just something that just around? Yeah, because I know it's not just Sid McGammo that uses that.
No, I know.
All
Absolutely.
of the Divine Nine uses that in the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you, ladies, for such a lively conversation. I've enjoyed you guys today. And That's it for this episode of Greek Vibes. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share this with your Sans, your ships, your line sisters.
Yes.
Let them know about this podcast. And don't forget to check out A&W Greek Shop for paraphernalia that represents the D9. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.